talk about the Mbira before we do the next thing? Hey, Bill, come on up. Come on up and talk about stuff.
I couldn't find any beer. Went to 3 stores.
Yes, this is the
So, yeah,
Array
Bill.
Mbira. And I invented this quite a while back. It's a chromatic mbira. I mean, it plays any kind of music. It's not an African mbira at all. And the idea is it's arranged according to a system called the harmony array. So its full name is Harmony Array Mbira. And the idea is with this new system, you can play all kinds of harmonies that you couldn't possibly play on any other instrument. I mean, it would take like 4 people at a keyboard, and typically this kind of full-scale harmony is just not even attempted. And anyway, I've been sending these out to all kinds of famous people all over the world. One of the first ones was Ry Cooder, and Pharaoh Sanders was another, and Shakir Hussein, who's one of the, I believe he's dead now, but he was one of the greatest tabla players in history, and he played it. And I showed it to Ravi Shankar once. Imogen Heap plays it regularly. I mean, it's a lot of people. And the other array instruments, the mbira was first because it was the easiest. The other array instruments were, this new system it puts the onus on the person designing the instrument rather than the player. The designer has living hell to deal with to a certain degree. The player is just smooth sailing. It's like flying a glider. In fact, the whole thing is like, if you think about it, the closest notes on a keyboard or on a guitar string or on a violin, those sound great in a melody. Little close notes, right? It's easy to do a good melody. Far apart notes don't connect that well in a melody, but they do in a harmony. This thing does for harmony what all those do for melody. I just take the flat of my hand and hit 20 notes, and they are already arranged so that they go together. I don't have to be careful. So it's the very thing that you need to assemble, 100 people and write out the score, and everybody's got to practice, and there's 20 different scores, actually one for each musician. Why, I can do that with my eyes closed with one hand while drunk. So it allows people to be expressive, more emotion. The array system, the main thing though is the keyboard, because the keyboard can be mass produced. It's not actually keys, it's buttons, and it's a special kind of button. You can slide your hand around on it. The thing is this thing is fun. It is pure, unadulterated fun, yet it is also serious. And the patterns of emotion, actually this is the most important thing, not an aside. The patterns of emotion that are invisible on virtually every other instrument become visible on this. So you know immediately if it's going to be sad or happy, confusing or succinct, kind of eerie or reassuring. You know exactly what feeling you're going to get out of it, and you don't know this from guitars and keyboards and violins and so forth. It's really hard to tell. Anyway, back to the music.
Thank you.
This is a special for Halloween.
array nail violin. It's tuned nails, Western scale, the same way configuration as the M board and the Mbira, and it's one of my favorites as far as sound. I love them all, but I really love the ghostliness of this instrument. And we have a video for this on YouTube. It's called Space Laced.
Are we on?
Yeah.
I really do. I could understand
Yeah.
what it was like taking the trip out here and all the setups. I wish we had a video of this whole thing live. I really do.
We'll have to do it again then.
Really, you have to come in again. And
Okay, that would be awesome.
Bill,
Might be a little more scaled down.
if you don't mind me saying, Bill, you're a genius. And that last set took me back to
That
Emerson, Lake and Palmer, like Keith Emerson. We're just tripping back on that one.
Took
Yeah,
me
the
back
thing
to
is,
Phantom of the
that-
Opera.
That particular keyboard is like a Casio from, many years ago when I was first getting the patent, I designed that. And in fact, it was held in secret for a long time. But once we got the patent, we could bring it out. It's patented. And the thing about it is that that's a cheap sound. It has no velocity dynamics. So, if I can get something that sounds kind of like that, rich and everything,
Yeah.
and I was actually operating at a disadvantage too, because the echo makes it hard to hear. But the thing is that, oh my gosh, if I had a real synthesizer with sounds like they have now, where you cannot tell the difference between that and an orchestra, and I just did that, people would think it was a symphony. They wouldn't know. Here, of course you know, because it's a cheesy electronic sound, the best I could do. But very soon, with the controllers we're going to build, the refined controllers that are going to go out to the world. And what I think it is that composition has disappeared from the ordinary people.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, you can be a slave to the great composers. Well, no. I want to compose. I remember saying this in grade school, high school, and the thing is that no one prepares you to compose, and composing is the most satisfying thing you can do in music, because it's about your feelings, not that person's feelings. Sure, I imitate them so I can learn how to express me, but if I don't get to that express me part, then what's the point?
There is none.
Exactly, there is none. And this thing, I think, will empower people to compose on a level that's like Bach when they're 4 years old, because it's not about physical skill. Not that you couldn't spend your life developing physical skill on this. Don't get me wrong, you could spend far longer exploring this because the possibilities are so much greater. But to the entry level, just to get in and do beautiful music, I've literally put this in front of 4-year-olds and had them come out and start sounding great, and have them be shocked, and their parents come in and their jaw drops, because they can't believe. In fact, one time I set it up at Balboa Park, only it was the Imbira, right? And this little girl, 9 years old, comes up, "Do you mind if I play?" And I said, "Sure, play." And I had hardly got any audience all day. There was hardly anyone there. I don't play at parks anymore. You couldn't pay me. But the thing is, she walks up and starts playing, and pretty soon she has this giant crowd of about 100 people. And she's never played this instrument before.
Oh my God.
And she's 9 years old, and I'm just going, well, some people get it right away. And guess who doesn't? The people who don't get it are almost always trained musicians, especially keyboardists.
Oh, God.
And I'm a keyboardist too. I can play the crap out of the keyboard. I can whip on the keyboard, but
It's true, he sure is.
I get these great ideas, and then I stumble over that arrangement of the keys and crash and burn when and that got me to really hating the keyboard. I love the piano's sound, but I started hating the keyboard and thinking there's got to be a better way to do this than this. And basically, this system I came up with, I just thought, well, that's so great. That's like, you wanted things to be better, and you thought if you went over here and looked and there was God and you could go to any planet and you had absolute power, what would you think? You'd think, this can't be real. This can't be for real. Somebody would have done this, and that's what I thought. Somebody would have done this. And I thought, this is too good. Like the old adage, if it's too good to be true, it isn't. Well, that's what I thought for a while. It just shows, that there are things out there that are right under your feet, right in the sky, right in front of people, but they don't see it because they don't expect to. Once people have it in their mind that they have the answer,
That's the end.
that's the end. They assume they have the answer no matter what. If the plane falls out of the sky, they still, you know what I mean? I mean, that they design the plane and it falls out of the sky, but they're convinced it was right. They assume a meteor hit it. They'll assume and assume and assume and assume till the end of time. And the keyboard has been, and these other, this model of music has been getting free rein with no one questioning it. They question physics, they question chemistry, they question psychology, but music is the most conservative field in the world. Why? Well, because it's like drugs. People are conservative about anything that affects their emotion. Religions, drugs, politics, sex. Anything that affects their emotion, they're conservative. Well, music is the one route that affects your emotion without getting you in real danger, so people are hyper, ultra conservative about it, and it doesn't advance as a result. And right here, sitting under anyone just about could have done this if they had thought about it seriously. There it is, and yet I'm the only one in the world with it. Well, of course that's not true because I'm selling the instruments all over the place, but I mean, I'm the only
you've
one.
got your students here.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, and I'm their students
And
as
they're
well because they're
growing.
majorly creative. Dylan here, we didn't get a chance. Dylan plays these things as good as I do. I mean,
It's true.
you can't tell the difference. Sometimes I have to threaten him a little to get him going, but once he does, oh my gosh, he's good. And
I'm okay.
And she hardly plays the
I
instruments
get to,
that often.
yeah, I hardly get the chance to.
And you just heard her, play a couple of songs that she hasn't played in so long. She didn't even remember how it went, but we can adapt with these instruments. We can do music. If we
Yeah,
forget
it's
the
very
lyrics,
easy to improv on.
yeah.
It gets down to simplicities. I hear what you're saying. I don't know if it's like ego trips on those people, like they're professional or whatever, but
That's usually the case, isn't
It's
it?
just fear. It's really just fear.
or fear or a fixed idea. You can't see beyond your own fixed ideas.
Well, people think things like this. They think, okay, if what you say is true, I just wasted my life learning the keyboard. That's not true. Because the thing is, all those physical skills you learned on the keyboard are applicable to this. Not one of them isn't. The only difference is there's a bunch of physical skills you can develop on this that are of no use whatsoever on the keyboard. I use the flat of my hands. That's useless on a keyboard. You hit a keyboard with the flat of your hand, you get the most hideous harmony possible. You do that on mine, you get the most consonant, beautiful, symphonic harmony possible. So, a kid doesn't know anything, he go up, I'm going to mess this up, and they whack it, and it sounds like...
You get sound out of it.
Down an array, So they go, what? And then you begin to realize that it's about the masses of notes. It's like, think of this. Most instruments make melody easy. Melody is one note at a time. Well, what is harmony? Harmony is up to 50 notes at once. So you have the capacity of doing like 20 or 30 melodies if you arrange it right at once with harmony. So where would I want the break? Do I want the break in melody? Do I want a line where it makes melody easy and then harmony's just a total confusion? So the one note at a time thing's easy, but the 50 notes at once thing is a total mess. No, I want it the other way around. I want the break on the harmony where I have to do so much more than just a one note at a time sequence. And we're not getting that. So everyone understands melody really well, and when you play the keyboard, you come to understand melody. You struggle hard all your life to understand harmony, but it's not a good model to understand it. But every physical skill you've learned, all the things apply to this. And basically, this is the thing. If you think about it, music, right now I'm doing music. Right now I'm doing music. Da 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 da. Every language on earth is music. You can listen to a Japanese person speak, and you totally understand what they feel. You can listen to somebody from Somalia or Russia, and you don't know the language, but you know what they feel.
Yeah.
Our theme song is an example of that one. It's Korean, but you translate the words, the feel. It don't matter if you understand the words or not, the feeling's there.
The feeling's there, and scientists are now taking note of this, that you can literally loop a phrase, I'm going to the store, and here it is a melody. That says to me, and this is the essential thing, that tone and tempo of voice expresses emotion universally in the same way. And some scientists are beginning to notice this, and that those emotions form patterns on my system that I can see that are invisible on virtually every other system. So and this is the thing. When you pick up a musical instrument and make it sing, that's what you're doing. You're taking an object and making it sing. Now, in the visual realm, what's the same thing? A puppet. If you take an old sock with 2 buttons and you can make that express emotion, you can make that feel, you can put body language in it. And so in other words, it becomes alive to the viewer and to the person doing it. Well, that's what you're doing with music. You're putting tone of voice into an object, right?
It's an instrument.
It's an instrument. It's a sonic puppet. And music, instrumental music, is sort of an imitation of the voice, and you're engaging in sonic puppetry. Now, in the Bible, they noticed this in the Bible. Now, I don't agree with what I don't like what they said, because they said Jubal invented musical instruments, and he was evil and all that, because the same technology allowed him to invent swords as well, which is a good point. But really what they were getting at is that they saw that music could be a form of idolatry. See, back then, today we call it sculpture. People don't go worship a sculpture. But back then they did, and music was used.
That could get into religion, statues, but that's something else.
Right. I mean, today it's statues, it's not a threat. But back then they sacrificed children to these statues, and they had music that they sacrificed people to. So, it was a horror story at times. They used to build big pipe organs much further back than anyone thought. They've recently discovered these things well before the Romans, that were used for sacrifice to drown out the screaming of the... So, the Bible wasn't just being, they weren't being just jerks. They really had some social problems we don't even hardly see in the world today. And so they considered music to be a mixed benefit. They thought instrumental music was evil, but vocal music was straight from God. Now, I disagree with that, obviously, but I see where they were coming from the view that they were seeing, that this is investing life into something that isn't alive.
I got it.
Your violin isn't live, your guitar isn't live, yet it's expressing feelings to me. It's expressing emotions to me. This is supernatural. This is magic. Well, this thing is going to give that magic to people in more abundance than they ever imagined. And we want to get this thing out to the people where they can buy a harmony array keyboard for, like, say, I'd like to see it like $50, $60. Every kid in the country becomes a composer. That's what I want to see. And also a shredder. In a way, it's like classical is the music of glory and exaltation, and it means the 1%. Everybody thinks the 1%. The master is up there with his sticks beating his slaves into playing, right? And so they take the most beautiful feeling and associate it with the most terrible association. I say that instead of like punk rock, I love punk rock, but instead of it always being dark and sinister, what if we take the same crazy mood? We're running around the stage, we're high, we're having fun, but the music sounds like Beethoven on steroids. And this is glory to the people instead of the 1%. We take glory back from the 1%.
Bill, let's talk. Let's just give the obvious here. Your website for the Imbira, for the array. So why don't you clearly spell it out for the listeners
I will clearly,
here?
and it's very hard to get. So don't expect to remember it. Grab a pencil.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got the pencil yet?
Get
Got
that
it. Got
pen,
it. Got
get
it.
a pen,
Okay.
pencil.
Pen, pencil, fingernail, lipstick. I don't care. It's thearrayambira.com. Here's how it's spelled: TheArrayambira.com. That's thearrayambira.com. We've been selling the Imbiras because that's the first instrument to be perfected. Mm-hmm. And we're working on getting, actually, it's another 10. It's 10 instruments in all. And there's an infinite number possibly built. I don't have an infinite lifespan. So 10 instruments is a lot to design.
Bill, give them your email.
Oh, yes. My email is arrayist. Arrayist. And it's ARRAYIST And I'm on Facebook also as Bill Wesley. So if you want to send me,
How do you spell your last name?
it's Wesley. Don't put a T in it. And anyway, if you want to call me up or get on me on Facebook and rail about the way you were offended, because many people, believe it or not, if they hear something that's unusual, adventurers are full of delight, but people who like things safe get pissed off. And you wouldn't believe how many people get angry at any form of innovation. I think in a way that creative people are the most oppressed class on earth. I mean, you look at...
That's what Heroes was about. That's why they canceled it.
That's why they canceled it. I mean, really, if you think about it, this economy is supported by creative people because they are the ones that come up with the inventions. And I feel that the corporations fear them. That's why they make them sign things that, you'd sign less papers if you worked for the NSA. You could work for the CIA and you probably wouldn't be watched as closely. They are terrified that these inventors will take the company secrets and sell them somewhere else. So what's happened is they've got a stranglehold through the universities. They've got a stranglehold on the creativity of this country. And it is setting us back mega.
We need to make this country rich again with inventors.
Inventors need to make a profit. And I'm sorry, getting a nice paycheck from a company doesn't cut it. If that had happened to Edison, if that had happened to Tesla, then they would have been history. They could not have invented this. They would have gone to Edison and said, "What's this stupid phonograph? We need you, working on electric fans, because that's what's going to sell. Get rid of that." And they would push him around and tell him what to do.
Yeah. What you're getting on also is it's a fear of change. Anything like conservative is a higher form of fear.
Yes, right. Well, once your vested interest is in the past, then you don't want the future. But guess what? The future is going to be pushed on you anyway, and your nation won't be competitive.
Anyway.
Yes, we're pro-capitalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am pro-capitalist. Just
Right.
real capitalism, not the oppression that they call capitalism, where every small business gets crushed by a big business. That's not capitalism. That's oppression.
That's monopoly.
Exactly.
So anyway, we'd love to have
So-
you back, and we really want to thank you for coming in. I understand when you used to come from San Diego.
Yeah, you guys
And
came a
all the
long
settings,
way.
It was just beautiful tonight. Thank you.
So will you play again? Will you come back?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
And hopefully
You will?
other people will
Good.
come in with the same stuff
Yeah.
and surprise you.
Yeah.
We like playing LA. We have a few more people who respond to us here. And that's always
A few more than
If
back
I had a
home, you
shop
mean?
down here,
Yeah.
I'd move down here in a hot minute.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh
we
yeah,
would if
because
we
it's
could.
too conservative up there.
Yeah.
I don't like too conservative. I like my
Well-
friends, but I don't like the
The
social
free
club.
Right.
community is a little bit more together here too. So
Yeah.
that's always
The freaks. All right, so thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.